Alright, so I'm Ryan, otherwise known as Man Is Music, and today I'm doing the 2025 vinyl tag coined by Fluffy Records, or Brian, otherwise known as. I think it's kind of cool that he's gotten this together because me and him, I think, got started with a jazz vinyl tag, or maybe it was just a regular old vinyl tag, but that was a few years ago now, and I think it's kind of cool to do his own, especially because these questions are just very well picked. A lot of fun ones that, kind of took me a while, but they didn't like stress me out or anything like that. So I'm just gonna kind of jump right into it because there's 20 questions, but then there's also 5 bonus. And I'm gonna go ahead and put everything in the description. I'm gonna tag him, all that, because, I wanna thank him first and foremost for gathering all these together because, like I said, this was super fun to gather all these records together. So I'm just gonna get into it with the first one, which is the first record that I spun this year, which in tradition with each new year I always spin Live at Birdland, but it's like a different copy every year because like for the past 4 or 5 years I've spun this on New Year's Eve, like spinning it into the next year. And I started off with like a 70s green label, then I went to like the red ring, like the 70s to 72 on Impulse, and then I went to an original mono, and then I went to a promo. But this is a promo that I got after because I have 2 promos now, but I got this one for like $100. I took a chance on it. It's like VG. This is one that I play mostly, and I know some people might be saying like, why do I have so many copies? Well, this is my favorite album of all time, and I don't know how many times I've played it. It's like something I just kind of throw on, like if I'm home, if I'm not doing anything. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. I know I shouldn't have that many copies, but I play that album a lot, and I kind of have this thing where eventually when I have kids, I kind of want to hand that record down because that's where I got started with music, jazz, everything, and especially Coltrane because I've completed his collection, and that's kind of where it started for me. So the next one is an album that released in a year that ends in 5. So I got 1955, Clifford Brown with Strings. My great friend Ilya Pisman, he sent me this one a while back, and I had a really beat up copy that I got from a yard sale for $1. But this just sounds amazing. I wish they would do like a tone poet for this, or especially like all Clifford Brown stuff. But this is definitely in my top 5 albums that I own, but also like trumpet albums too, because I have another one in here that Ilya also gifted me. I really can't thank him enough because both of those that I'm showing today are in my top 5. So the next question is a Nonstop play show record you couldn't stop playing last year. I thought this was kind of funny because Brian also showed this. I can't remember which question he showed this for, but this is one that I just could not keep off the table, along with Live at Birdland. With this one, I think I got this late 2023, and all 2024 I was spinning this. This is an original Scranton press, but it's not beat, but it's like VG. So I kind of figured that it was pretty hard to pick up a near mint copy of that one, so I figured that would suffice for the time being. So the next one is number 4, your 25th album on Discogs. And I kind of like redid my whole Discogs thing because I had, wrong pressings put in, and then things that I had sold, gotten rid of. And I wasn't like too, I didn't know how to use Discogs as much as I do now. So a few years back I had restarted, took everything off. So this is the 25th one I got on there. I put all my Coltrane stuff in there first. So this is my 7105 original. It's very beat. It's like, I don't know, G+, something like that. But the cover is pretty nice, except for like the staining on the back. The next one is favorite release of 2024, and without a doubt, I knew I was gonna put this one here. This is Stella Cole's debut album. I kind of was like keen on her Christmas single that she had released, but I didn't know she was coming out with a debut till like the beginning of this year maybe. I think there were some rumors or something that she was like posting something on her story on Instagram, and she was also on TikTok too, which is where I seen her. But I since deleted TikTok because I was doom scrolling. I was addicted. But this album just blew me away. I think it kind of reminds me of Lucienne Polk's debut on Mode Records, which has like I think it has The Boy Next Door. There's another song on here that's on there. When the Sun Comes Out, that's what it is. And then on the street where you live. I don't think that's on there, but a lot of these tracks kind of feel synonymous to like Dean Martin, like I said, Lucienne Polk, Ellington, and then of course Sinatra too. But one interesting track that I seen on here, and that kind of blew me away, was My Future by Billie Eilish and Phineas, her brother. And I'm not a huge Billie Eilish fan. I mean, I love her music, but I'm not like, some like huge fan, like where I'm going to concerts or anything. But hearing My Future like arranged in that manner, and like it's like with a jazz backing, it blew me away. As with the other tracks too, because I just was not expecting that to come out. And then she also released her Christmas album with the single that she had released prior, and I picked up that. And I also got I wasn't gonna show this, but it's on my desk because I'm trying to figure out how to frame it, or get like a little frame, but it's a weird sizing. I think it's like 3x7, but this is what came with it. When I ordered it, like on a live video, she was like doing some type of promotion, and if you ordered the record, you would also get a signed card. So I thought that was pretty neat. Definitely one of my favorite singers, like, living. And I think she lives up to what people are saying. And then also, I think she's kind of shining light on the, the legends like Ella. And then I'm trying to think of somebody who she specifically sounds like. Maybe like Julie London. She also kind of has like a Blossom Dearie delivery, but not the playful tone. It's something you just got to listen to kind of understand what I'm saying. But the next one is Purple or Gold album. This could be vinyl too, he says. So the first one I could think of is Roll Call, the purple cover. This is an original that I found in Texas. Got this for $50 along with a Wibbly's Message. I think I put them in like all my jazz vinyl tags, all that, because they just kind of, there's something that I kind of hold close in my collection, but also I can just kind of use them for really anything, like because I'm spinning them all the time. It's one of my favorite records. So the next one is a live album from California. So Lee Morgan, Live at the Lighthouse, Hermosa Beach, California, my 70 West Coast label. I guess some people don't coin this as the West Coast label, but that's what it's called on Discogs or whatever. So I kind of go along with that. But got this before the prices like jumped after that box set came out. I wish I had it, but I'm not ready to spend that kind of money. So the next one is an album with a cigarette on the cover. Someone smoking a cigarette. So I guess I could have put Coltrane Time because that was one of the first that came to mind, but Off to the Races, Donald Byrd. I was kind of like looking through my stuff, and then I seen that this one had a cigarette on the cover, and I thought it was just him like going like this, kind of like thinking or something like that, but I was surprised when I seen the cigarette, and I was like, okay, I gotta use this then. This is my Liberty copy. I think I got it like earlier this year, or last year, for like $50. So the next one is a black and white album, black and white cover, I guess. Woody Shaw, The Moon Train. I could have said that I spun this a ton too. All these are kind of like interchangeable to some extent. Next one is an artist I've recently revisited, Oscar Peterson Trio, or more so just Oscar Peterson in general. I've listened to him like really early on, but since I got this record last year for like $10, $15, I have just not been able to like take a break from his music. Like I'm always listening to him on Spotify, more so than vinyl, but this record in particular has the track Jim, which I know that, I don't know if everybody loves that track, but it's definitely one that I play a ton, just over and over again. Like if I'm working, I'll put it on repeat and just won't change it for maybe hours on end. Like there's just some certain songs this year, like not even just within jazz, but like Sweet Thing by Loretta Lynn and Ernest Tubb, like that's one that I have been playing a ton. Band of Gold by Don Cherry, not the trumpeter, but the crooner, I guess, vocalist. But there's just a lot of tracks that I've just been playing over and over again. Next one is a record that another vinyl community person put you onto. And my first vinyl community friend that I had made was my friend Anthony. And he lives, I think he lives in Texas, but now he's in Florida, I think. I can't remember. But he works for Heritage Auctions, and he sees like tons of originals, and like I think he was working there when they had the slippers that Dorothy wore in The Wizard of Oz, and he was like posting pictures to his story. I wish I had a job like that, but I know that there he grades like records and stuff. But he's been someone who's kind of introduced me into a lot of vocalists, and I mean, not that I didn't know who like Sinatra was or Ella, but he kind of, pushed me on to the more obscure singers such as Beverly Kenny, which is probably one of the first that he got me into. And I guess you could say this is the album that he got me into with her discography and stuff. And it's probably the most easily obtainable. But this is not on vinyl. It's on like stearine, I guess I think that's the way you pronounce it. I think Mike reached out for me from the Jazz Bums about like if it like sounded good or what kind of quality it was, because he was trying to buy a copy. But not that this is like a great pressing or anything. I would definitely recommend buying a CD pressing, but just to have a Beverly Kenny original, because this is on Roost. And then also, the backstory, she's got a sad story. Like I think she OD'd in the bathtub. At least they don't have too much coverage on it, like in the newspapers from back then, but I think that was kind of the conclusion that most people had reached. So definitely pretty depressing story that went along with her. Next one is an album you have a hot take on. And I think a lot of people have heard me say this, but I'll just come right out and say it. But I think that Stellar Regions is the highest point that Coltrane reached in his career, which I think some people might agree with me on. But I think it's better than A Love Supreme. And although A Love Supreme is like the masterpiece and the project and something that everybody kind of gets to first in Coltrane's discography, I think because this is so like, I think A Love Supreme is so highly regarded, but I think it overshadows this. And I'm not sure entirely why, other than the fact that this released in the 90s, so it didn't have like a 60s release. And this was like kind of maybe lost material. I can't remember because I got my book up there, the reference guide, but I think this was like in the vault, right? But then they just got around to releasing it late, or wasn't prepared for release. But this is all like the same recording session. Alice Coltrane, Jimmy Garrison, Rashad Ali, and then of course Coltrane. And this is different than Interstellar Space, because it's not just Rashad Ali and Coltrane kind of doing just endless free stuff. This is still within like some sort of form, but it's still, there is no like structure, I guess you could say, like no time signature. I mean, I may be wrong on some of that, but because there's a lot of different tracks on here, like Seraphic Light, which is probably the greatest introduction to a Coltrane album that I've heard. Sunstar, Stellar Regions, Iris. I think Jimmy's Mode might be on here. I can't remember what the other side is. Offering, Configuration, Jimmy's Mode, Train Sonic. A lot of like tracks that you just could not compare to any other songs that Coltrane had played. So that's kind of why I hold it like so high, and also above A Love Supreme. But not that I would disagree with anybody. If you said that A Love Supreme is better, I'm not gonna fight you on that or anything like that. I just kind of think, for me, Stellar Regions is higher than Love Supreme. So the next one is their second album was the best, and not that, because I think this is wrong, obviously because of Volume 3, because this is Lee Morgan Volume 3, but when I was getting all this together, I kind of wasn't thinking of that, I guess, because I kind of just went on Spotify and then seen that, oh, okay, Volume 3 is the second album, because I think it was recorded before. I'm not sure how all that worked. You guys can like comment if you know like the specifics, but I guess, you know, I'm just throwing this in here. My favorite Lee Morgan album, although it doesn't really fit the question. I kind of didn't put that together the greatest. So the next one is a VC shout out, so no record. So I guess I'll shout out, of course, Donovan, I'm Hard for Hard Bop, best friend, along with Brian, Battered Record Enjoyer on Instagram. He doesn't have a YouTube yet. Hopefully I can convince him. And then James, who runs Glass Bead Records. And he's also got this new project, Gen Z Collectors, which I think is pretty cool because he's kind of showing a lot of collectors like our age. And then also trying to think of some other people just offhand. I guess that's it, because those are kind of the only few that I talk to on a maybe not even a regular basis, but just here and there. Also Anthony on Instagram. I'll do a post on Instagram to kind of tag them and all that, and then also the description. But besides that, also just want to shout out Brian again too, for just because he's kind of within my bracket, like the age group, somebody that I talk to here and there, but also just the fact that he made this vinyl tag too. So the next one is an album that begins with F, Free For All, Art Blakey. Next one is an album with a smile on the cover, and I knew right away I was gonna put this one on. Cirrus. I think Bobby Hutcherson probably has the best smile that I've seen, like jazz artist wise, I guess. Next one is a musician featured in a movie, and I don't think he wasn't featured in a movie, but just to kind of, because this is kind of like overshadowed by a bunch of different other things, I put Blue World on because this soundtrack was featured in like I think it was like a Italian or Greek movie, like an indie movie or something, like El Gato something, the cat and something. I can't really remember the name of it, but if you look up Blue World soundtrack movie or something like that, kind of piece those words together, you'll get to what I'm talking about. I wish I kind of had it in the back of my head, but it's been so long since I've looked at my spreadsheet and all that, so I don't know it offhand. But figured I'd put this in just to kind of have someone that might not be as common, because I feel like most people might put Miles Davis from his appearance. So the next one is an album with a great gatefold. I don't have anything too crazy, but because I think like some of my other Coltrane gatefolds, it's just a book that you can kind of take it out, but this one has the gatefold inside of it, and I kind of wish that I had a better cover, or like the sticker was pressed on right. That's my only gripe with this, but besides that, it's got that nice booklet in there. I'm not gonna take it out because I got my sleeve on. It's kind of a pain to fit it in because this is such a huge cover to begin with. So got that for that one. And an album you wish, or a record that gets you pumped up. And this one I got Sam Cooke Live, the Harlem Square Club. I think Bring It On Home to Me is the one that kind of gives me chills and gets me going a little bit. So got that on there for that one. And then an album you wish you could experience for the first time again. And I know we already put Live at Birdland, but I'm gonna put this copy. I usually have it on my wall, and every once in a while I'll take it down but this is my 70s green label pressing on ABC Impulse, and this is the first copy that I had gotten. I remember I went to a flea market and there was this really nice older lady there, and she just let me have this for free. She was the one that she was telling me stories and stuff. I think she lived up in Wilmington, Delaware, which is where I'm from, and she was telling me stories about how when Donald Byrd had lived up there, and he would come in to her shop because her and her husband had a vinyl shop up near there. And I just love listening to her stories. Like, I think there was like a Rosedale Beach, they had like James Brown, Ray Charles, a bunch of these soul artists come there and play, and that was like the 60s, right? Maybe the early 50s too, but just to hear stuff like that, like from a source, is just unreal. And for her to kind of just show me the ropes with collecting, and then also kind of just give me a few freebies, it kind of meant the world to me, and I still like hold her in high regard. Although I don't get much time to see her these days because I'm usually working, going to school, and then just, busy with other stuff. I gotta maintain relationships, kind of keep up with people. And, as hard as that is to do these days, I think COVID kind of got me off path. So the next one is some bonus questions. So it's show a 10-inch or a 7-inch. I'm showing 10-inch I got from a yard sale that I met this guy named Fred. It was either Fred or Dan, and I was talking to him for probably about an hour about Frank Sinatra, Billie Holiday, not really Charles Mingus, but I bought a bunch of 10-inch Frank Sinatra from him, some 33s too, but he came out with this because he just wanted to show it to me at first, and I was like blown away because I knew that this existed, right? But this just looked immaculate, and I just wanted it so bad, like, prior, and I didn't let him onto that or anything. I didn't ask him for it. I just, I definitely respected the fact that he came out and showed it to me, because he went in his house and he was digging around for it. So really appreciated him. He gifted this to me, and was one of the first big, huge gifts that I've received, just from a stranger, I guess, and that just doesn't happen. So definitely hold this one pretty high in my collection. So the next one is favorite reissue. So that's Deftones. This just came out, and before this came out, like on some limited pressings, like of 1,000, 2,000 on like gold and gray vinyl, but this is like the regular pressing on black vinyl. So the next one is album of a musician you would have liked to see in a movie, and for this one I got Dion, Runaround Sue. He was the first one I really got started with, doo-wop, that kind of stuff. My grandmother, my mom, she listened to Dion a ton. My cousin Jake does too as well. But I was such a huge fan of him back in high school, listening to him nonstop. And I was such a fan that I even bought a flannel shirt that looked like this, like from the cover. And I got he was the one that the first artist I completed a discography for. I mean, it was way easier than Coltrane, because Coltrane was like 200 and something, but for him it was like 30, and it felt like such a feat for me to do that, especially because my mom had passed away, and that was like the first artist that I kind of had taken on to after that, and it felt like, I guess, that I was like close to her after she had passed because of Dion and stuff. So next one is a record a friend gifted you. Donovan gifted this to me last year, Cortex, Troupe Blue, one of my favorite records of all time. And not that I would ever be able to touch an original, but just to have this in my collection. This is a reissue from 2024 that was released on their website. A local store had picked up a batch of these, and Donovan picked me and him up a copy. And I just love this album for so many reasons, but probably for the MF Doom samples and the attachment for that. But I really appreciate him gifting that to me. We were kind of doing, sending each other care packages, and that was such a fun, I think that was like the time when we were least stressed, right, with college. Like we had just kind of started, still getting the ropes, and we kind of had free time. We were still listening to vinyl pretty actively, I think. But this past year was just, the end of it was just kind of ridiculous. I think for both me and him, super busy with school, work. It's just, I feel like life is changing for the both of us, and Brian too. We're all kind of best friends, I think. Like, we have a group chat, and we just all kind of chip in every single day. Like, just we'll send posts and stuff and talk. It's like one of the things I kind of look forward to during the day. But the last one is a record featuring a spoken word track. So for this one, I got Albert Eiler, Newgrass, and the spoken word track is Message from Albert, which is kind of different. Like, it's nothing I had ever heard before. I picked this up, but this is definitely one of my favorite Albert Eiler albums. But I think I would definitely throw his I guess his debut, and I think I got it over here. My name is Albert Eiler. I was selling this because this is my promo copy, and I was like thinking I could get a, pretty penny, because I think I got it for like 75, but I think this kind of goes for like maybe a couple hundred, maybe 150, something like that. But I was like, I can't keep it if it's like gonna sell for that. So that's definitely my favorite Albert Eiler album. No spoken word tracks on that one though. So that's the video. I definitely want to do another one because I just got a new setup. So I'll be uploading that sometime soon, within the next like week or two, maybe. At least I hope. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and then also want to thank Brian, Fluffy Records. I'll tag him and do all that stuff, and then also the shout outs too. I'll tag everybody on there too. So thank you.